You may have heard some rumors that the Social Security Administration is shutting down. I know those headlines are everywhere right now, so I just want you to take a deep breath. I know how frightening that sounds, especially if you rely on those benefits to survive. But what I want you to know right now is that the Social Security Administration is not shutting down. That crisis has passed. Your benefits are still getting paid. But I want to talk to you about what happened, why it happened, and what you can do in case it happens again. I'm Nicole from Low Income Relief, and I've been helping low-income people across America navigate benefit programs for more than 10 years. So now let's rewind to where this all started. On Thursday, a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order that blocked Elon Musk's Doge team from accessing sensitive Social Security data. That team, officially known as the Department of Government Efficiency, had been brought in by the Trump administration to root out fraud and cut costs across several federal agencies. But the judge said that they didn't have a good enough reason to be digging through personally identifiable information, like Social Security numbers, medical records, and tax histories. She called their actions a fishing expedition and said that they hadn't shown any real evidence to justify that level of access. So the court stepped in to protect your privacy. I think that's a good thing personally, but that is where things got complicated. After the order was made, acting Social Security Commissioner Leland Dudek threatened to shut down the entire Social Security Administration. He told reporters that the court order was so broad, it could stop all Social Security Administration employees from accessing the systems that they need to do their jobs. That would mean no benefit checks, no customer service, no disability hearings, a total shutdown of the agency, which honestly doesn't make sense to me because a lot of those automatic payments are done automatically once they're in the system. So I'm not 100% sure I agree with that conclusion in the first place. But the point is that that statement sent shockwaves throughout the entire country, as it was probably intended to. Understandably, people panicked. If you saw those headlines and you felt scared, you certainly weren't alone. Millions of us panicked right alongside you. But less than 24 hours later, the judge clarified her order. She explained that it only applied to Doge affiliates, not regular Social Security Administration employees. She said, quote, "Any suggestion that the order may require the delay or suspension of benefit payments is incorrect," end quote. After that, Dudek reversed course. He said he would not shut the agency down and admitted that he had been, in his own words, out of line. He also said that the White House had called him to make sure he reassured the public that Social Security is and would be fully operational. So yes, the immediate crisis has passed. But there are still a few things that we need to talk about here. First, we need to acknowledge how scary this was. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and Social Security is their only income source. It should not be possible for one official's misinterpretation or overreaction to cause this much fear. Second, we need to talk about how some people in power are framing these conversations, because I think that that is very telling. Earlier this week, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that if Social Security didn't send out checks, his 94-year-old mother-in-law wouldn't complain, and that only fraudsters would be upset about a missing payment. I know a lot of you aren't going to believe this because I had a hard time believing that someone actually said this, so I want to show you the actual quote here. He said, quote, "Anybody who's been in the payment system and the processes knows the easiest way to find the fraudster is to stop payments and listen, because whoever screams is the one stealing. Because my mother-in-law is not calling, your mother, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, they trust the government. So the people that are getting that free money, stealing that money, inappropriately getting the money, they are going to yell and scream," end quote. That's an actual quote. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, Lutnick is a billionaire, and he's not an elected official. He's appointed. That means he doesn't have to worry what voters are going to think of him at election time the way that some of our other lawmakers in Congress do. But even still, I don't know how to respond to that without getting emotional, because I know you. I have worked in this space for over 10 years, helping low-income retirees and people with disabilities figure out how to survive despite the ridiculously small Social Security payments they get. I have heard from so many of you, people who are living on $900 a month, who stretch every dollar just to stay housed and fed. I know that missing even one check could mean losing your home, missing your medications, or going hungry. So to say that only fraudsters would complain, that's not just wrong, it's harmful, it's cruel, it's awful, and it's downright dishonest. I would really like to hear your opinions on this. If missing even one Social Security payment would affect you, would you drop a quick yes in the comments below? I would love to hear more about this. I don't personally rely on Social Security, but I imagine this would be absolutely disastrous for most of you if this ever happened. And I think that it's so important that we speak up, tell our stories, and let people in power know exactly how much these programs matter. And now, finally, I want to talk to you about the future. I would love to think that this will never happen again, but I'm not very confident that that's the case. There is a lot of concerning news coming out about Social Security right now, and the future doesn't feel as certain as it used to, and that's hard. I know how headlines like Social Security shutdown feel when you rely on that check to survive. If you've got rent due, medication to pick up, groceries to buy, just the thought of losing your benefits, even temporarily, is overwhelming. And it's completely valid to feel upset or scared, but here's what I want to remind you. Social Security is a deeply embedded program. It's not something they can just turn off with a switch. There are laws, systems, and safety nets in place. And there are also millions of people who would raise their voices and fight back before that could happen. This kind of fear-mongering and brinksmanship is meant to make you feel things strongly. It's manipulative, and it's designed to be persuasive. It's the same sort of game they play when they push us to the brink of government shutdown over and over and over again. But there's something I want you to remember, okay? Social Security has not missed a payment in almost 90 years. This program is very solid. I personally do not believe that any politician in this country would be willing to let this program completely collapse on their watch. It would be a political disaster, a massively vote-losing decision that is utterly unthinkable if they want to stay in office. Millions of people rely on these benefits, and they would remember that kind of betrayal forever. So I personally think that it is very, very unlikely that Social Security will actually completely shut down over this or any other threat. That being said, I think the headlines and the threats may continue because the media knows that it gets clicks. Remember, the CEO of CBS famously said that this administration may not be good for America, but it's good for CBS because the money's rolling in. Sensationalist headlines get clicks, and that's all the media really cares about. They don't care about you or your mental health. They want your attention, that's it. But that stress isn't good for you, and I don't want you to be yanked around by all of these headlines all the time. That's not a burden that you should have to carry. Life's hard enough as it is without all that unnecessary drama. So when you see those headlines, there are a few things that I want you to remember, okay? First, Social Security is huge. If this program is shut down, there will be 79 million people affected by that. That's about 23% of our country. This is a huge number of people who will be speaking up, and clamoring for change. You won't be alone, and politicians won't be able to ignore that many voices for long. Because the amount of people who rely on Social Security is so high, I honestly think that most politicians know better than to even risk that kind of mass public outrage. Second, if Social Security payments were late or missed for any reason, I think the world would probably adapt around that, right? Think about all the protections that rolled out when COVID began, or even during our last prolonged government shutdown. I'm very confident that if Social Security payments just abruptly stopped, there would be other protections put into place to try to help mitigate some of that fallout. Now, I am not saying it would be easy. It certainly would not be. But I really doubt that we would see immediate mass evictions or anything abruptly catastrophic like that. I think that other solutions would be implemented to try to patch things in the meantime. Now, I have to tell you, I don't think that Social Security is going to just be abruptly shut down. I don't think we're going to see that kind of catastrophic, just sudden event. But if it ever was going to happen, there are some things that you can do now to help keep yourself safe and to stay informed if that were ever to occur. So first, you want to make sure that your contact information is current with the Social Security Administration. That's important. That way they can get in touch with you, whether by mail or whatever, if something were to change, right? You don't want anything getting lost or delayed in that kind of an event. Now, it's worth mentioning that they don't notify you about every little change. A lot of people commented on our recent videos saying that they don't trust me because they don't know where I'm getting my information. So I want you to know that I pull most of my information straight from the press releases and blog posts that are published by the Social Security Administration itself. You can see them for yourself by looking at the Social Security Administration's press website. Now, second, it's a good idea to look into emergency backup programs just in case something were ever to happen with your check. If you need help with rent, food, or utility bills, or whatever, please visit our website at lowincomerelief.com. We've got guides on everything from emergency food assistance to one-time cash programs in your state, okay? And third, if you're worried about this, please don't carry that burden alone. Talk to someone about it, whether that's a family member, a neighbor, a church friend, or just in the comments below this video. I want you to know that you are not alone in this. And let's be honest, this situation is part of a much bigger conversation, right? There's a lot of conflicting ideas right now about how to run Social Security, how to protect it, and how to cut waste without hurting the people who need it the most. That includes retirees, disabled folks, survivors, widows, and children. Cutting off their payments over a disagreement about data access is not efficiency, that's cruelty. Now, I promise you I'm going to keep covering this. If the situation changes, if a shutdown ever does become likely, or if help becomes available, you're going to hear about it here. We always break it down clearly and calmly so that you can make the best decisions for yourself and your family. I'm not here to scare you. I am as sick of the 24/7 news cycle as you are, and I just want to help. So until then, take care of yourself, stay informed, but don't let fear take over. There's a lot of noise out there, but we're here to help you hear what matters most. Don't forget to check out our other videos for more ways to save money and get free stuff.